Well, we switch gears a bit. We're talking about specialized caregiving for the elderly. Well, elder care, often referred to as senior care, is actually specialized care that is designed to meet the needs and requirements of senior citizens at various stages. And here to tell us more from Edgemore, we have Stephanie Edgehill, Recruitment Director at Edgemore, and Justin Collymore, Business Development Director at Edgemore. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're talking a little bit about elderly care, something that we tend to put in the background a little bit. A lot of the times, even in the newscast, we've seen over the years people being found guilty of abusing the elderly. So let's talk a little bit about the company first of all, Edgemore. What is Edgemore and what services do you all provide?
So Edgemore started off as a recruitment company that specialized in technical roles. So that's Stephanie's, specialized area. So essentially offering added value on top of the existing recruitment service. So really getting a deeper understanding of what companies are looking for, in particular oil and gas companies or companies that do like IT and manufacturing, things like that. So that's how we started off. And we've recently added on the branch that acts as a caregiver agency. That started last year as a soft launch. And in January, we had like the official launch of Edgemore Care.
Great. Yeah. So, Miss Edgehill, why did you all take advantage of this particular opportunity to get into into this caregiver agency?
Well, we felt that it was a need that Trinidad had. We had a few friends that were working within the elder care industry that felt that it was a good time for someone like ourselves that had the experience in recruitment, that we would transition into elder care. We already had the infrastructure for it within our business already, so that we could interview, screen caregivers and bring them on board. We just felt that it was the right time for Trinidad to, start to really care about the elderly and help those families that function as a family caregiver, give them some support as well.
So you said that you saw the need for us here in Trinidad and Tobago to start to really care for the elderly. So you would have observed something that was, moving away from that.
Well, as you were saying before, just all the stories that you hear in the news of different elder abuse, just even our experience within our own family, seeing our grandparents as they get older need more help from us, and sometimes it can be overwhelming for the families to offer. So it's always good to have another option of having a caregiver.
So it would have been in existence since last year, correct?
Yeah.
So how has the response been so far?
The response has been pretty overwhelming. I think once we started the agency, just the stories we heard and like the people that we met, it really proved to us that it really is a need in Trinidad. So we've spoken to over 50 families almost. And, you just hear the similar themes over and over again. I can't find a good caregiver, or I found myself in this situation and I don't know what to do. So yeah, I think there's definitely a need for it, and it's a service where I think people really appreciate what we provide. So many clients have told us that, thanked us for really giving them their life back, because I think, a lot of people aren't prepared for when they need to provide a caregiver for their parents, so they undertake that for themselves. Yes. And us being able to step in and, give them some relief, give them an option, it's been very rewarding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the elder care. What type of care service options are available? Is it that you have live-in, daily, overnight? What sort of options do you have?
We offer all of the above. So we would do daily care. So you could do it, 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. We are very flexible. We also offer overnight care, which functions the same way. And we also do live-in care. So that's where the caregiver would be with you 24/7, in the home with you. We also offer what we call respite care. So for those family caregivers who might need a little break, a little time off, if they, maybe going on vacation, or it really is very stressful to go from, the function of a child, and then you go to looking after your elderly loved one, usually a parent or grandparent. So we also offer what we call respite care, which just gives you a little break from the 24/7 of caregiving. A lot of families also use the respite care as a way to try out caregiving,
Right.
And then generally would transition into full-time care.
All right. So what about the caregivers? Are they employees, or is it that you all offer like a referral service?
So the caregivers are employees of ours, so everything runs through us. A lot of families who hire caregivers on their own, they have to arrange NIS, PAY, all of that themselves, whereas we take care of all of that, all of the business side of it. We also do all of the screening of the caregivers before they come on board with us, and that's a pretty strict and rigid process that we stick to.
Mm-hmm. What about training?
So for right now, we are looking to offer training to our caregivers. The majority of them have come to us already with training from a few different facilities in Trinidad, but as we grow the business within the next year, we would like to also offer training to them, stuff in fall prevention.
CPR, first aid, that
Oh,
kind of
wow.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what sort of experience do they need to have in order to be part of your organization?
So the big thing that we look for is experience working in that home environment. Some people may work in hospitals, or they may work in existing homes for older persons, but we try to focus really on working in that family environment and understanding that dynamic. So that's pretty much the main experience.
Yeah, that's pretty
that we
much the
look
main
for,
experience that we're looking for, that they've had that experience working within a private family setting. And we are not so much looking for nurses, but really carers and people who have that experience in caregiving.
It's interesting. It's usually with nurses, because our nurses, unfortunately, there's a reputation that in terms of our customer service, it's not really the best.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure that the people that you send out there give 100%?
I think a big part of it happens in that interview process. I think meeting the caregivers face to face. Obviously in an interview, people are going to put their best foot forward.
Yes.
So we try to go the extra mile. We do a psychometric test to sort of learn their personality a little bit more. But I think the most important thing is having a good relationship with the caregivers. So I don't want to say we're friends with them, but we really try to liaise with them as often as possible and understand their perspective and what they're going through. So we really know them as people, because a lot of times it is a personality match that makes the caregiving dynamic work.
So how do you know when somebody is really cut out for this type of job? Is it that you know that they genuinely love and care for people? What do you look for, really?
That's generally what we look out for. And I guess that people could say, all right, well, they just put their best face on. But a lot of it is in our interview process. We ask them to tell us about their experiences, and a lot of the caregivers have experienced some pretty awful situations that they continue to go back into because of how much they know that the elderly loved one needs their help and needs them there. We've heard many stories, but a lot of it really is just a character, and sort of, you're kind of going off of your gut feeling as well in a lot of this. Anytime we kind of have a bad feeling, we listen to our gut and we go with it. And really, it's the psychometrics also help us a lot. And the psychometric assessment that we administer is catered towards caregiving. It's not just an overall personality test, so that really helps us learn more about the caregiver, and also helps us better place the caregivers with a family, just depending on what the family would need of a caregiver, at what level the person in care is at.
Now, this could be a really complicated thing, because, if you look at the elderly and some of the challenges they have in terms of, some of them are senile, they have Alzheimer's, or all these different things. How are your people trained to deal with that? Because there may be instances where a patient or a person that they're caring for may accuse them of doing certain things. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's something that we're obviously very aware of, and we know that that's always a possibility. But I think, the majority of our caregivers would have gone through the GAP program, so they have experience. That's the Geriatric Adolescent Partnership Program. So they have specific experience dealing with things like Alzheimer's, different types of dementia. So by the time they have come around to us, they've seen many of these conditions, they've seen how patients can behave. So they have that skill set of, how do I handle, XYZ situation. And one of the things that we always talk about in interviews is we like to get into difficult situations that they've dealt with so that we know that they know the right approach. And you know, I think the big thing with caregivers is it's just patience, and like Stephanie said, they really have to have a passion for it, because I think when you have that passion, it allows you to sort of overlook how that person might be behaving in that moment and focus on, well, what care do they need? So I think that's pretty much the best approach.
Patience.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, lots of it.
We're not really known to have a lot of patience here, you know, driving and everything
And anything else, yeah.
Unfortunately. Great. So where are you all located?
So we operate out of Maraval. We run our office virtually,
Okay.
but that kind of lets us be a little bit more flexible as we meet with clients for both sides of the business, really, all over Trinidad. But mainly we operate out of Maraval. But that doesn't exclude any clients anywhere else.
Closing comments. What would you like to say to those looking on?
What I like to say is that the resources are out there. You know, as I mentioned before, a lot of people wind up in a situation where they need someone to care for their loved one, and it is a very difficult thing for a family to manage on their own. So the resources are out there. It's just a matter of getting in touch and moving forward.
Yeah.
Great. And your closing comments? Number to call, contact information on
You
Facebook.
can call us at 786-5240. You can also find us online at edgemoreltd.com on our specialized caregiving side. And it's just to fill out a very short form to give us an idea of what sort of care you're looking for. And either myself or Justin would get in touch. But pretty much I think the takeaway is to ask for help, and that it's okay to do that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. We really enjoyed the interaction here. Stephanie Edgell, Recruitment Director, Edgemore, and Justin Collymore, Business Development Director at Edgemore. That number to call to reach them, 786-5240. Well, we take a short break. A whole lot more when we return. Stay tuned.